You're listening to the best of Ruocco and Rothenberg on ESPNNewYork.com. You hear them every weekday beginning at noon, only on ESPN New York 98.7 FM.
You okay?
Yeah,
you look disjointed.
Well, no, I'm looking for the mouse. Did you hide the mouse?
Yes, that's what I did. I came into the studio before you and I hid the mouse.
Why would you have done that?
Are you eating a sandwich?
Are you?
It's a touchscreen in here.
Yeah, that's true. So I don't need the mouse.
No, I'm not, but I brought a nice salad. You didn't see.
Yeah.
I'm on a real weight loss thing. Yeah.
It's good. You should be.
Excuse me?
I'm just saying. It's a healthy thing to do.
No, that's not what you meant.
No, that is what I meant.
No, you meant you're a heavyset man. You need to lose weight is what you were going with.
I have defended your weight several times to many people at this station. You know that.
How many people have gone after me weight-wise? I think that's more of the question.
Just Broussard. He was the only one. He said you looked like Stan Van Gundy. Remember?
Yeah, I remember. It's one of the lowlights of my entire career.
Maybe your existence.
Probably so. But today I have a nice grilled chicken salad that I will eat because we're until 3.
Yeah.
So I needed to have, prepare what my lunch would be. Rather than going with something heavy and unhealthy, I went with the grilled chicken salad.
And you're not, you're fine. I wouldn't say you're in shape. I wouldn't say you're heavy. You're just, you're kind of there.
I'm a guy.
Yeah.
That's what I am. I'm a guy.
Right.
I would like to be a... Huh?
You're
what are you saying?
He just did that again. The patented Ruocco compliment.
Yeah, what is that? Why do you do that?
What are you talking about?
By the way, can I get on you for something?
Yeah.
So I turned on the K show yesterday, and it's a round table with you and Michael and Don.
That's kind of funny, right?
And Joe Panic.
That's right.
I mean, it
came
is unbelievable that you... And I knew this was happening, and I didn't realize how upset I would be until it actually took place, that you host a show with me.
Yeah.
And the show that you are a part of, your name's not in the title.
No, and I'm not co-host.
You're more loyal to this show that you would provide one of the best players in Major League Baseball right now to that show.
Wow.
Right now he is. He's playing at a very high level.
You know what? You warmed my heart with that description.
Doesn't matter
I'm
what
not
I've
even worried
done.
about what you're attacking me
Doesn't
with
matter
after
what
that.
I've said or what I've done. The fact is you hand-delivered him to that show over this show, and that's hurtful, Ryan.
But let me explain why. It was a very, very logistical decision because he had been awake till, they partied after they won in the NLDS a little bit.
He's 23. I think he could be up by 9:30 in the morning.
Well, but he was on the West Coast. I was going to have to text him, so I wanted to wait longer. That's the only reason, Dave. My loyalty is to this show first, and it always will be. I want you to know that. When people say, who is my co-host, I say Dave Rothenberg. I don't say anybody else.
So it's not Michael. I'm not Kay LeGreg. I am with Dave.
I'm with Dave. With Dave.
Okay.
I spent time with Michael and Don.
Yes.
And I've had a
great
time.
guys. Although Michael isn't like me.
Yeah.
Great guys.
And you guys had an interesting exchange in the hallway I witnessed, too.
It was uncomfortable.
It was a little bit frosty.
Yes.
Yeah. It was a little bit strange. We'll have to get into that later. But no. But you're my guy.
Okay.
Yeah, I love hanging out with them. I've really enjoyed the afternoon. But my show is here, me and you.
So the show that we have together, you don't provide one of the best in Major League Baseball. The show that you are a piece of, that's where you bring Joe Panic. That's all I...
Let me tell you.
Know what?
When they go to the World Series, he'll be with us between noon and 1, okay?
Is that a promise?
Promise.
Okay.
I promise.
So he will be on this show before he is on that show next.
Yes.
That's a guarantee.
I guarantee.
And if that's not the case, you will what?
If that's not the case, then...
Will you pay for Jeff's next date with the girlfriend that we just found out he has?
Yes.
Okay?
I will. Yeah. If that, what a noble man you are. That's how you win a bet.
I don't want anything for me.
Yeah.
I look for Jeff. So Joe Panic, Jeff, mark this down, will join our show before he joins the K show. And if that's not the case, Jeff receives a free date night on Ruocco.
That's fair. That's totally fair.
I'm okay with that.
By the way, I feel like I'm
surprise.
working with Robin Hood. This is really, you are the salt of the earth, my friend.
I do what I can. I said if the Giants win the Super Bowl, I'd buy you a watch.
Which was a ridiculous and startling announcement, but one I feel great about.
This is what I do. You know what? We have to talk about the Jets.
Because, Dave, this was just odd. Listening to Michael Vick yesterday say...
Maybe I didn't prepare, or I wasn't prepared, but I tell you what, it won't happen again.
Oh, okay. And the scout team, I guess, is an afterthought.
Never take the scout team for granted. So all the young guys out there, don't take that scout team for granted. You better take every rep and get 100% out of it. I never do it again. Football is football.
I love the way Michael Vick tries to spin it then, like, hey, all you young guys,
right?
Don't take
Follow
it for granted.
From my mistake.
Right. Don't do as I did.
What is going on here?
First of all, let's just first deal with the fact that he wasn't prepared. By self-admission, he wasn't prepared. Let's deal with that first. if there was ever a week, now you should be prepared every week, but if there was ever a week where you should be prepared, isn't it the week in which there's a pretty decent chance you're going to play, where the starting quarterback's job is on the line, where there was a chance you were even going to start the game? Isn't that the week you better make darn sure you're ready to play?
Yes, of course it is. You knew that Geno Smith was on the hot seat. You're watching the way this game breaks down, and you're not prepared for it. And you know what? This is not a guy that's lived his NFL career with a golden spoon in his mouth. Right? This is a guy that was that guy and then saw the depths of what can happen to you and how the starting can be taken away. You would think that of all the people in the NFL that would take nothing for granted and be prepared on a week-in, week-out basis, it would be Michael Vick. And the guy's been in the league for more than a decade. I don't know. I honestly, I raise my hands up, and I don't know what is going on with the Jets right now. I really don't.
It's odd. It's unacceptable. And what's strange about it was Vick's willingness to admit it to us, too. That is bizarre. Really, it's a mark of entitlement or comfort.
Or immaturity?
No, I don't even think it's immature. Well, I mean, I guess it could be immaturity. But when I hear someone say, like, yeah, I wasn't there for some reason like that, or, I didn't show up because I didn't feel like it. Somebody who says something like that says it because they're not worried about repercussions.
You think?
Yes.
You don't think ignorance or just momentary lack of judgment? I mean, if you did a game, you did Louisville-Syracuse, right?
Yeah,
and if your boss came up to you and said, Ryan, you know what? We love you and you're our guy, but you weren't at your best. Would you say, well, you know what? I didn't even look at the stats of the numbers or the rosters this week. I just wasn't prepared for this game.
I would never say that.
Even if you weren't, you would never say something like that.
First of all, I always would be prepared.
Of course.
But
you're the utmost of professional. But my point is, why would you, even if you weren't, why would you ever bring to the attention of the public that I wasn't prepared for my job?
I think the only way you do is if you're ridiculously comfortable. Even more so than ignorance, I think it's comfort to be willing to admit that. Unless you are just trying to mask that you don't have the ability, that you're not good enough with a reason, and the reason becomes, well, I wasn't prepared, just because you don't want to say, well, I'm not good enough. But other than that, I think the only way you feel like you can actually voice that is having an incredible level of security and comfort. And I'm not sure why anybody on that team would, other than, is that the remnants of a player's head coach? Is that what happens when you have a head coach who just supports his players endlessly? That they feel like they can admit to all of us, you know what? We don't practice.
There are no repercussions? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. All I know is that you look at the Jets right now, and it looks terrible. Okay? You've played bad football. You found ways to lose games. Then you go out and you embarrass yourself. Then after the embarrassment, you find out that the starting quarterback missed the meeting. Now you find out the backup quarterback wasn't prepared. Now you find out that yesterday they looked sluggish in practice and the coach wasn't happy about it. I mean, it's snowballing out of control seemingly right now with the Jets, isn't it?
It's odd. Here was Vick on whether or not he was caught off guard going into the game Sunday.
I wasn't really caught off guard because I know anything could happen. But coming out of this, at the second half, start of the second half, and, just knowing the sense of urgency that we needed, it didn't help, but at the same time, we were professionals, and, we got to go get it done somehow, some way. At least that's how I feel, and, I feel like, obviously at the end of the day, I could always do something to make a difference, and if I don't, I'm going to be very hard on myself, and that's how I think I keep my competitive edge, so, it doesn't ever change.
But he must not thirst for the job if he wasn't prepared this week. Maybe he likes the fact that he's getting paid $5 million a year to not play. I can't buy that he is hungry to start if on a week when he is so obviously going to have a high percentage chance to get in the game, he doesn't prepare. Then you don't want the job that bad.
Probably not. You saw the game. Yeah. Did it look to you like either Michael Vick was done, had nothing left, didn't care to play? Like, it looked like something was clear. It looked like he wanted no desire to be out there. And you knew that this was going to, just like you say, to echo those sentiments, this was the week that if Geno didn't put up a good first half, it was your game in the second half. Now, did he look at it? We're down 21-0. There's not much I can do to get myself and my team back into this game? Maybe. But to admit that you're ill-prepared and to go through the motions like that, I don't even know what to say.
How about this? The Real KO tweets at us, at Ryan Ruocco, at Rothenberg ESPN, which, by the way, tweet at us throughout the show. We love your interaction. The Real KO says, Vic saying that to take heat off Geno? I don't think so.
Would you ever, and I think you and I have a really good relationship, would you ever bite the bullet for me? Like, if I went out there and I was off, if I took the microphone this morning and just laid an egg, which many people may say did happen anyhow, but if I did, would you ever come to my defense and say, no, I was the one that was awful? You wouldn't. People don't do that.
And that's not even what he said. He said, I wasn't prepared. I kind of took it for granted. That's something entirely different. So, no, I would never. You may defend me.
You may defend me.
Yeah, I may
say, you know what? Let's keep off Dave. It's not fair.
Dave went up against a good defense. Right. 10 a.m. airwaves are tough. Whatever. But I would never say.
You never say it was me.
Or I would never say, well, that happened because I wasn't prepared later on.
Right.
Well, no. I mean.
And what does that do?
Right.
It doesn't deflect. You know what? Now it just makes it look like the whole thing is falling apart. It makes it look like, really, this is what I said this morning. Your starting quarterback doesn't take it seriously enough to show up for the meetings. Your backup quarterback doesn't take it seriously to prepare properly for the game. Well, I wonder what Matt Sims is doing this week.
Yeah.
I wonder if he took it seriously.
Well, it sounds like Vic wanted to get him some reps, bring the young guy along. That's weird, too. Like, hey, buddy, I want you to get some reps. You're not thirsting for the job, period. Now, maybe Vic just said, you know what, I'm just going to be a mentor here, and I'm going to make a lot of money to do it, and I'm cool with that.
Payday?
Maybe.
Yeah.
You can't convince me that you really want the job if that's the way you're going to act. Ira in Staten Island. Ira, you're on the Maserati of Morris County hotline. You can't like hearing this stuff, Ira.
No, this thing is just twisting my stomach. And, I hate to see this, and as optimistic as I am, I got to be a realist here. And you know what? This is starting to get a feel, and bite my tongue here on this. This is starting to feel like the 2005 season when things kind of spiraled out of control, and you heard the same things from Ty Law and some of the other players. I mean, first of all, the Geno thing's been, I'm not even going to go there. I'm sure you guys know how I feel about missing meeting.
Yeah.
Now, the Vic thing, I tell you, it's funny that he came out with these comments, because when I was sitting there watching the game, I was watching his body language, and it looked like he didn't want any part of it.
It did.
And I'm not looking to pile on him, but you got to be prepared, man. I got to come to work every day and be prepared. You guys got to do that. I mean, there's no way in the world, and not only that, he comes out and admits it. Listen, I'll give him credit for saying he's wrong, but considering what's going on with the team right now, this is the worst thing that could happen.
Yep.
I'm just hoping they could kind of. I think they're going to give you a spirited effort this week. I just think it's just so overmatched. It's going to be tough.
You know what, Ira? I agree. Admitting it sits wrong with me. I think of an example in my own career years ago when there was an event that I wasn't going to. I didn't have any on-air obligations.
Is there a celebrity naming in this for you?
No.
Okay.
No. Why you got to go there?
Because that's where you usually go. And I was trying to jump you.
I'm telling a story that humbles me in itself.
Good.
That I probably shouldn't even
tell.
No,
I think you should. I think you need to. And by the way, would you not agree with this? Once you start a story, you can never be one of those guys that says, "Should I tell this story?" Once you pose that question, you're obligated to tell it.
You have to.
So go ahead.
Because we're not going to do our audience like that.
No, go.
But there was an event going on in New York sports that I wasn't on air for, and so I didn't really think, I was going to have to talk about it the next day, and I was going to watch it on DVR, but I didn't think I had to be at it, And I had a boss who asked me, hey, I'm going to see you at the game later. And I said, oh, no, I have a date. And I, didn't think two things of it. And then, the game happened. I went home, so watched the game after my date. I DVR'd it, and I got reamed out.
Really?
The next day. And
was that here at ESPN?
Why you got to do that?
I'm being the journalist that I am. I want people want to know. Was that here?
It doesn't matter where it was. It was sometime in my early 20s. Now I'm 27. Okay.
So you probably weren't here.
Maybe I was. Maybe I wasn't.
Okay.
I've worked here since I was 21. Okay.
All right.
So I then realized, you know what? And somebody else at the station.
There you go. He just gave that away.
It could be TV or radio.
It's here.
No,
okay.
It could
Very
be
good.
TV or radio. Someone else at the network said to me, you know what? Think about what you said, because the boss went nuts on me the next day.
Went nuts.
Yeah.
Yelled at you.
You really yelled at me. and said, you know what, you showed a sense of entitlement. And I said, huh? It's like, you told me you were okay telling me you weren't going to be there because you were on a date. And one of my other people I work with said, think about that. You told your boss something he wanted you to be at. The reason you weren't going is because you just had a date. Think about how that sounds. It does sound entitled, even though we know you're not and you work hard. I say, you know what? You're right. Like, it does sound that way. If I'm comfortable enough saying that, saying why I'm not, even though I didn't really think I had to be there, so it was a little ignorance too, but that did show like, oh, I could say anything. It did show a level of security that you shouldn't ever really have.
Yeah.
And that's my thing with Michael Vick saying that. Just being willing to, I wasn't prepared for the opportunity. Well, you're showing us a level of security and lack of thirst that you really shouldn't ever have. And so, to me, it is alarming, and it shows a level of entitlement that he shouldn't have.
Let me defend you for a moment.
Thank you.
Even in the retelling of that story, I don't think you've done anything terribly.
Thank
I don't.
you.
It's not like the boss said, are you going to show up for your show?
No.
Are you going to show up for a game that you can also watch and be prepared for from that game the next day?
You're right.
So I don't think that's that bad. I think what Vic did is a lot worse. And you know what? Vic is in a much higher profile. Like how would it have changed your preparation for the next day's show had you been there? Maybe not at all.
Not a ton, because I like hearing the announcers and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
But for Michael Vick to admit that he wasn't prepared changes everything for his performance this past Sunday. So I will defend, and I won't always defend you.
But thank you.
When I think you're wrong, I will take you to task on being wrong. But not now.
Thank you.
With this, you are correct. And I'm glad the powers that be at ESPN were able to look past that
and keep
you
around.
Employed here. Yes,
we don't know if it was ESPN.
No, that's what I'm going to go with.
Ruocco and Rothenberg with you on ESPN New York 98.7 FM, 1-800-919-3776, the telephone number on the Maserati of Morris County hotline. We get 3 hours today, so we have plenty of time left to have fun.
Do you know what we're doing later?
I do. Let's tell them next.
Okay, yes,
on
we'll
ESPN New York.
You're listening to the best of Ruocco and Rothenberg on ESPNNewYork.com. You hear them every weekday beginning at noon, only on ESPN New York 98.7 FM.
I guess it was like a month and a half ago when you.
Bob Moose?
No, well, Bob,
Can we please?
We usually spend a lot of time on Bob Moose, but on this particular day, it was actually Dave and I with Chris Broussard, and he was asking us about his goatee and whether or not we thought he should keep it.
It was a beard. It wasn't a goatee.
His beard.
Yeah.
And you saw it on TV and you remarked on it. It's not for you.
Every time I see it, I don't like it.
Really?
Yeah, and I love Chris.
Chris is a great
Chris
guy.
is one of my favorite people.
He's an amazing guy.
Not only in his business, but he's one of my favorite people, period.
On the planet.
I guess his wife likes it.
Yeah. Well, and that usually is what's the determining factor for facial hair.
Because if he didn't like it.
He has told us that before. Did you know that about Chris?
What?
That he
I got a booty.
Has one of those?
Not looking.
Yeah, you know what? He just likes to share those kind of things.
I like him for other reasons.
I got a booty.
Well, he likes to shout that every now. Yeah, he just likes to tell us that. Ruocco and Rothenberg with you on ESPN New York 98.7 FM. So, Dave, at 1:45 today, we have a contest where this is
not a garden variety contest.
No. Yesterday, by the way, the reaction to Showdown, which we will do every Wednesday, was fantastic, and I beat you, which was the way things should go.
No, but I still honestly feel that was completely unfair. The judging was egregious. Jeff did a terrible job judging it, and I've actually received many texts saying that I won the Showdown.
Why are you going to lie to our audience?
I'm not lying.
That? No, you are lying.
All right. You can believe what you want to believe.
Texts from your wife don't count. I'm sorry.
That and you've been calling Gunling a baby all day. You know who you sound? You sound like a baby right now.
Gunling is a big baby.
You're a baby right now.
No.
Gunling in there right now?
No, he's at a meeting.
No, it's too important. Second of all, Gunling was an Eagles fan, which in its own right starts me down the road of dislike.
Yeah.
Okay? He is going on and on about the picture with the guy with the 0 Super Bowls for the Eagles and that the Giants, held up the 0 sign, and he's all bothered by this.
Look.
I mean, come on.
I do think that kind of thing can give motivation to a team.
You're playing the Giants.
No.
A battle for first on Sunday Night Football, and it's that's going to put it over the top?
No, but here's the thing. Football is a sport where you exert yourself, right? Physically. Do you not feel like you can exert yourself a little bit more when you are motivated? Yes, and that little bit of extra motivation sometimes adds to the hardiness of your preparation. Sometimes it adds to the laserness of your focus. And sometimes it just adds to the aggression in which you have on the field. But here's where the Eagles blew it.
Oh, in a big way.
They blew it because they had that advantage, and it all went out the window when they decided to tweet shots at the Giants in the aftermath of it, because they retweeted an article from Eagles Insider that had stats about Eli, and then the official Eagles account, while retweeting that, added commentary that said all period, the period, Manning period faces, with a picture of one of those Eli faces that, looks like he just tasted something sour. And I thought, okay, now the official team account is taking shots at the quarterback.
So the Giants, was it dumb? Sure. Was it classless? Sure. I don't really believe, and I don't think you do either, that there was a lot of thought that went into that.
No.
Right? It was the spur of the moment, take the picture, it got out there, and I saw it and I actually laughed, and then it kind of exploded on Twitter and through the crazy sports talk that we do. But the Eagles stopped, took notice, and returned shots in a malicious way.
And that's why their advantage that they might have had went right out the window.
It doesn't matter.
Ruocco,
neither of these things matter. But
I do think bulletin board, I think it can matter sometimes.
No, I don't think so. You told nobody what's happening at 145, by the way.
Oh, so at 145, we are doing a trivia contest where it is you and I as a team against Candelmo and Gunling, because they've been talking all kind of smack about how you and I aren't really that intelligent. We don't know things. That's actually the wording of it. I'm not being generic. They say, you guys don't know things. So we'll find out at 145.
We'll find out who knows things at 145. We'll take that. It's the on-air against the producers.
Yes.
Yes.
That's right. Andre in Long Island. Andre, you're on the Maserati of Morris County hotline.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good, Andre.
Just real quick, it sounds like someone is a sour Eagles fan, but I wanted to talk.
Yeah, we'll get Gunling in later to discuss.
And
that.
You're right. Doesn't sound like it at all. You hit the nail on the head. He's a sour Eagles fan.
I wanted to talk about Vick. Well, we got to look at it from his perspective. Rex has been saying Geno's my guy. Geno's the starter. Geno's going to do it. And all of a sudden, at half you put Vick in, but Vick, he says he wasn't ready. Now, even if you're third string, you gotta pay attention, focus, be ready for the game. But Vick could be all week. I know Geno's gonna do it. And, I'm not gonna really focus in because I know Geno's gonna.
But that's not acceptable, Andre. That's not his job. And wouldn't this week more than any other week? And thank you for the call, Andre. But this past week, more than any other week, would have been the week in which Vick should be expecting to maybe get in the game.
But why is this ever okay?
It's not
like if this was week one where Geno Smith rolled an ankle with 4 minutes to go in the game, why is it ever okay that a backup player is not prepared? And you've been watching this game a long time. How often do you hear something like that? I wasn't prepared to go in the game. I wasn't ready to go in the game.
I don't know that I've ever heard someone say that flatly about themselves. I've heard people say
about other people,
or maybe the team, perhaps. Also, it was odd yesterday that the Jets admitted that they didn't have a good practice, unless that was strategic.
Oh, really? Do you think that they're doing that?
I don't know. Maybe everybody thinks we stink. Let's lull everybody to sleep even more. And then
you know what?
I
guarantee you. I bet my life on it. Peyton Manning's not going to come in here ill-prepared. No way. So you think if he thinks that they had a bad practice or if they went through the motions or Michael Vick, he's not going to care. This guy's going to come in focused like a laser, and he's going to do his job. Now, maybe the Jets will win the game, but it won't be for lack of preparation for Peyton.
It's an act, the whole we didn't practice well thing, if they say it again today. If they don't, it's probably true. I was just trying to think, why would you say it?
Why do you say this stuff at all?
Exactly.
Why
I'm trying to come up with a
this?
reason. I have no idea why. You don't need to know it, Dave. You shouldn't have to know. I'm sorry you have that knowledge in your head.
Yes, so am I.
You shouldn't have been exposed to it. Ruocco and Rothenberg with you on ESPN New York.
You're listening to the best of Ruocco and Rothenberg on ESPNNewYork.com. You hear them every weekday beginning at noon, only on ESPN New York 98.7 FM.
Gunling just got here, and he's being a big baby. So we'll get into him, too. That's right. He doesn't even know why he's being a big baby.
He knows.
But don't you feel good about the Throwback Thursday?
I feel great about it.
Yeah, okay.
I've never felt better about anything.
I thought so.
I just was not privy to it, and that pained me.
Did it really?
Yeah, not really.
All right, I didn't think so. By the way,
a dop of the cap to Derek Jeter.
Because it has to happen at least once a day.
Will that ever get old?
Not to me.
No?
If our audience starts to, send emails into the station, can you please have Ryan stop playing that, then I'll consider playing it less.
So you could be convinced to diminish the amount of times you play it, but never to eliminate playing it.
I think that's fair.
All right.
Ruocco and Rothenberg with you on ESPN New York 98.7 FM. Lou in Bayside. Lou, you're on the Maserati of Morris County hotline.
Hey, guys, love your show. You're killing me with the LaBoose Be My Lover.
You got it, Lou. Thank you for the love, baby.
I have a question. I want to hear both of your opinions on this. With regards to what Michael Vick said after the way that he played, to say what he said, don't you, just common sense, unbiased, don't you just feel that that right there sums it up and shows you how the lack of infrastructure and everything, it's just, that sentence totally represented what the Jets are as an organization.
Yeah, I mean, I think in a lot of ways it does, at least where they're at right now. I think at times the dysfunction of their organization, Lou, has been a little bit overstated. I think at times. But right now, it feels full-fledged.
And especially now, when he knew that the starting quarterback went missing. Whether it was a movie, whatever it was, he knew that happened. Then he knew that the team lost 31-0. Then he knew that the team didn't practice well. And then you come out with this kind of statement. I'm not one of these people, Ryan, that loves to compare the Giants and the Jets because I think they're two totally different entities, and I like to leave them alone. But the only thing I could think of is last year when the Giants were 0-6, and they were dreadful. They were a bad football team. Never once did I have the feeling, and you can tell me what you think, that the thing is crumbling. Like, I never thought that.
No, I felt like when they were 0-6, I felt like, oh boy, we may.
You
see
did? You felt like
Coughlin might lose the head coach.
I never thought that Coughlin lost control of the team. Like I didn't hear Eli come out. Man, Eli wasn't missing practices.
Okay, yeah.
Nobody was saying they were ill prepared. It was we've got to get better. We've got to win. We've got to find a way. I never once felt like this. And the Jets are 1-4. The Giants were 0-6, and I was embarrassed to watch the football the Giants were playing, but I wasn't embarrassed at what they were saying off the field or what they were doing off the field. This is embarrassing now for the Jets.
It is embarrassing because there's a performance that by itself was embarrassing, and then you have these different reasons trickling out for why it may have happened.
Yeah.
Like, quarterback not showing up at meetings or quarterback not being prepared. And all of those things are very concerning. Ruocco and Rothenberg with you on ESPN New York 98.7 FM. And this call intrigues me. RJ and NJ. RJ, you're on the Maserati of Morris County hotline.
Yeah, no, my only point, the last caller before the Eagles guy just triggered this call, but the Michael Vick thing to me does not sum up the whole team for the simple fact that I think that guy'd be surprised how common that would be when a backup comes in. The guy had no first-team reps. The only thing he did differently than most quarterbacks was tell the truth. He was not overly prepared to get in that game. And while I do agree with Dave that he should have been after, half of New Jersey was calling for him to play the week before, the bottom line is he got in, he played like crap because, one, he's not that good anymore, which is another big thing with the Vic story. And two, he just was being honest. He could have lied and said, I went in and things weren't going our way. He was not as prepared as he should have been. I don't think that should shine on the whole team. It's a fact that he was not getting first-team reps. That's not a surprise. It's easy, I think, for everyone to start saying, they're this huge dysfunctional organization because they're losing. I mean,
but they're not hang on, RJ. They're not losing. It's not like they lose the game 17-13 and it goes down to the wire. Nobody killed them. Nobody killed them for that loss at Green Bay. Right? We thought Green Bay is a really good team, and the Jets played very well for the first part of the game. Well, Bill Daughtry is signaling that he did, but I did not kill them for that game. When you lose a game 31-0 and you look like you don't deserve to be on the same field, and the starting quarterback goes missing, and the second-string quarterback admits he's ill-prepared, how could you not have a problem with this?
I do, but I'm not going to sit here and say that the world within the organization is falling apart because
what do you feel good about? What do you feel good about, RJ?
That's a whole different thing.
No. It's all part of the same problem, is it not?
It's part of what? The fact that nobody.
There's no one piece of evidence that tells you, the whole thing is falling apart. But everything added up makes you feel that way. That's the point.
Do you have confidence that they're going to go into Sunday's game against Denver and compete?
RJ was taken away from us.
Oh, that was it?
Yeah, Child Services came and got him.
They are.
But you don't think they're going to compete?
Nope.
I actually think it'll be a tighter game.
You think that this game is in doubt with 10 minutes to go?
Yeah.
What
You
are the
do.
Broncos watches on Mountain Time?
No.
They missed a bus. They had a flat tire. Plane couldn't get in the air. What?
I just think that...
Why? What leads you to believe this, though?
Well, first of all, let's not act like everything we always think is going to happen does happen in the NFL.
That's true.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
We didn't think the Jets were going to blow a 21-3 lead in Green Bay.
Exactly. And Rex also, he tends to sometimes when in his tenure, sometimes in those games where you think, whoa, they have no chance, then they end up showing you something. I just think they're going to be supremely motivated to show up in a bigger way than they did this past week and kind of try and erase some of the embarrassment. And because of it, you're going to see a much better product. Not a team that's good enough if the Broncos are on their P's and Q's, but a team that'll play a tighter game.
So you would be surprised if we sat here on Monday at 11:58 in the morning and it was like 38-13 and the game was over at the half.
Yes.
All right.
I would be surprised. Yeah.
You could think so.
And by the way, I will be very comfortable admitting I was wrong. I think they'll lose, but I think it'll be a one-possession game midway through the fourth quarter, and then the Broncos will make another score. So maybe they're up 7 and they win by 14, or they're up 3 and they win by 10, or they're up 7, they win by 10, something like that. That's how I think it'll go.
I've been totally optimistic about this Jet team, even to the point of making the asinine statement that I thought Geno Smith would be the better New York quarterback this year, just based on what they had coming in and what kind of situation he was facing.
Why are you telling people that, Bill?
Well, because
you're pulling a Michael Vick right
there. First of
there.
all, I made a public proclamation about it on our Saturday morning show, and I had to back off of that a couple of weeks ago.
Well, thank God.
Not last week, a couple of weeks ago.
That's right.
So, I mean, for all optimism I've had about the Jets, they haven't shown anything worthy of optimism.
No, they have not.
Their biggest moment so far was leading a game going into the second half.
Just blowing up. I mean, I still see Wilkerson walking off the field with a big smile after he gets thrown out of the game.
Oh, it's
Are
disgusting.
you kidding me?
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
I expected some kind of comeback by a league MVP, a Super Bowl MVP in his house, but for the Jets to come out, have 3 second-half timeouts that meant absolutely nothing, to have 12 men on the field when they had a game-changing interception, to get in a fight in the end zone after a touchdown. And, oh, by the way, started the second half with the ball on the 5-yard line. That's why you defer that kick to the second half, so you can start on your own 5. Are you kidding me? From that, to me, that game was the turning point in this season, and they ain't coming back from it.
You're listening to the best of Ruocco and Rothenberg on ESPNNewYork.com. You hear them every weekday beginning at noon, only on ESPN New York 98.7 FM.
You want to hear something ridiculous?
Sure, I love ridiculous.
On one of my teams, I have Calvin Johnson. Say what they are after I say their name.
Hurt.
A.J. Green.
Hurt.
Rashad Jennings.
Hurt.
Noshawn Moreno.
Hurt.
Ryan Matthews.
Hurt.
How are you supposed to win with that team?
Well, you're not. What's your record?
Noshawn's coming back this week, though.
2-3. Is he coming back this week?
He's supposed to be coming back this week, yeah.
I'm going to have to adjust my lineup.
I would hope you would, because I've adjusted mine. Lamar Miller's sitting.
Yeah, okay, good. All right.
I'm just
Bill
saying.
Dawson.
Yeah,
All
but we
right,
have
good.
Karabell and Daughtry.
I'm just saying.
We are
Fantasy
lucky.
Inside.
Thank God we
I had
you,
Hoyer,
Bill.
too.
Oh, yeah, see? You know what? Thank God I'd be in
But
trouble.
you know what the thing with Bill is? Bill is one of these fantasy guys who thinks he knows everything.
Oh, I know.
Like, he thinks he knows
I'm
everything.
0-5 in one league. What do I know?
Why are you admitting that again, Michael Vick?
Well, why not?
You continue to do this. We're
The
trying
truth-
to paint
the
you as a
truth
genius.
Hurts, but the truth will set you free.
I guess so. In this
Just
case,
saying.
I'm not sure. Jason in Bergen County. Jason, you're on the Maserati of Morris County hotline. Jason.
Hey, Jason?
Yeah,
That's
Jason.
you. You're Jason.
You're Jason. I'm Ryan, and he's Dave.
How you doing, fellas?
Good.
All right, so Michael Vick. I'm a longtime Jets fan, a season ticket holder. I'm down to them whether they're 1-15 or 12-4, right? But this thing about not being prepared, one, it's not new from Michael Vick. I believe when he had his great year with the Eagles, he even talked about how Andy Reid is the one who inspired him to actually watch film, that he should just go out there with natural talent. Well, he's not as talented now. So for him to study, which is something that he didn't want to do when he was younger, I don't think he wants to do it now.
Jason, are you standing on the side of the road, man? I have to ask.
He's in a
you
wind
that.
tunnel. Yeah.
Either that, or is there a winter storm going on in Bergen County that we're unaware of?
Say again?
Are you standing on the side of the road? Because I'm hearing flushes of wind.
I just walk out of my office. I'm in the street now.
Well, be careful in the street. Dangerous things happen there, Jason. All right,
I think you should be cut.
He wants to be
now
cut.
it's sent a signal to the team that you got to be prepared. At least if you're going to get cut, let it be for a football reason, not for
Look,
for personal reasons.
I'm not cutting Michael Vick based on that. Thanks for the call, Jason, especially while you were navigating traffic. But I think that it is just another one of those things that alarms you. This week, after you got shellacked, you lost 2 home games you could have won because of crucial, terrible, awful mistakes and an absolute lack of weapons on the offensive side of the ball and a defense that's pretenders. That's why you lost.
Oh, I agree with you.
And then your response was to get just absolutely drubbed in San Diego, 31-0. And then in the aftermath of that, you found out your quarterback missed a meeting. The other one said he wasn't really prepared for the opportunity. And you had one of your leaders, DeMario Davis, say, we
don't practice like a Super Bowl team.
Exactly.
Right. And then you come out and respond with a Wednesday practice, whether it was, window dressing or not, saying we were sluggish in practice. It's not just the loss. It's all the things that surround the loss to make it look worse.
That's right. Tonight on MSG Network, the Rangers open the season in St. Louis as they take on the Blues. Live coverage begins at 7:30 with Visa Rangers game night. Then the puck drops at 8. The Rangers season opener tonight on MSG Network. Ruocco and Rothenberg with you. Normally we'd be passing the show off, but not today. We hang till 3 on ESPN New York.
You're listening to the best of Ruocco and Rothenberg on ESPNNewYork.com. You hear them every weekday beginning at noon, only on ESPN New York 98.7 FM. You're listening to the best of Ruocco and Rothenberg on ESPNNewYork.com. You hear them every weekday beginning at noon, only on ESPN New York 98.7 FM. Ruocco and Rothenberg's Fantasy.
You play to win the game.
Football.
I want winners.
Primer.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
That's right. This is where Eric Karabell, our fantasy expert at ESPN, puts his hatred for Dave Rothenberg aside. Warranted hatred, let me tell you.
He doesn't hate me.
Well, he should.
He's not alone.
And
wow. You hear what I have to deal with?
So, Eric, this is a very, it's always great to hear from you, but I feel like this week we have even more pressing questions. What do you do right now if you are a Calvin Johnson owner?
Well, you sit him down. I don't think he's going to play this week or next. The Lions, if they're smart, they would sit him and get him healthy for the second half of the season. So I think if you own Calvin Johnson today, you know he's not going to play. If you own A.J. Green, you're not sure yet, but it's looking like A.J. Green's going to be shut down for at least a week or two as well. And these are two of arguably the top 2 or 3 wide receivers in all fantasy.
All right, let's look at the running backs that people picked up hot and heavy this week. Brandon Oliver, Ronnie Hillman, Andre Williams. Who and why will have good weeks this one?
I think 2 of them will. I think Brandon Oliver is a great play at Oakland. I think Andre Williams is a great play at Philadelphia. It's a bad defense. Oakland's a bad defense too. I don't think Hillman's a very good play at the Jets. Flying cross country, the Jets normally stop the run. You'd think they'd be motivated to do that this week after Oliver, an unknown, did all that last week against them. Plus, Denver's going to throw all over the Jets. So I think Hillman's a worthy flex option, but I think the other 2, you can make a case that Brandon Oliver and Andre Williams are top 10 running backs because there's not a lot of running backs you can use, and the matchups are great.
Do you expect Storm Johnson or Jerick McKinnon from Jacksonville and then Minnesota, respectively, to be guys worthy of lineup play moving forward?
Well, McKinnon falls into that Bishop Sankey class where the coach should make the right decision and go with the better player, but they haven't done it yet. I think McKinnon is better than Matt Asiata, but that doesn't mean Minnesota's going to use him that way. I think the Vikings just want Asiata to run into the line 20 times per game, be the goal line back. He can catch passes. Sankey, I don't know why he's not playing more in Tennessee. He really should. The situation with the Jaguars, Toby Garrett got all the money, and he's looked awful so far. We think Storm Johnson will get at least 10 touches this weekend, but you can't play him in a fantasy league until you actually see it happen. I would add Storm now the way you own Sankey, just in case something nice happens here. But there's no reason to believe it's going to happen this week.
All right, a lot of people with Drew Brees, myself included, so it's a selfish question, but I needed to pick up a quarterback for this 1 week. I can go with the Brian Hoyer, Ryan Tannehill, Joe Flacco, I think, is available. That kind of ilk of QB. Where would you go to pick up for Brees on bye?
I'd go with, among those 3, I'd go with Hoyer. I ranked him the best of that crew there. It's always dangerous to trust a guy in a road game, to be honest. And we're seeing this year a bigger split between home and road performances by quarterbacks than we've ever seen before. So even though it looks like Flacco has a great matchup against Tampa Bay, they could also run the ball there. I think Hoyer against Pittsburgh. Hoyer's putting up 15 fantasy points every week. He's not going to be a top 10 quarterback, but against Pittsburgh, it's an overrated defense at home. I think Hoyer's a good play.
Eric, thanks for getting us ready for the fantasy weekend.
You got it. Have a good week.
You're listening to the best of Ruocco and Rothenberg on ESPNNewYork.com. You hear them every weekday beginning at noon, only on ESPN New York 98.7 FM. You're listening to the best of Ruocco and Rothenberg on ESPNNewYork.com. You hear them every weekday beginning at noon, only on ESPN New York 98.7 FM. Behind enemy lines.
Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer.
Philadelphia Eagles.
That's right. We check in with Phil Sheridan. Does a great job covering the Eagles for ESPN. He joins us on the Maserati of Morris County hotline. Phil, covering this group, knowing them as you do you believe they will be motivated any more than they would have been by seeing that photo Prince Amukamara and Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie took with the 0 Super Bowls Eagles jersey?
I would think so. Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I'm sure this game was on their schedule, looming as a big game for the Eagles all along. Didn't really need that to add fuel to this fire. That to the Eagles players, in Philadelphia, everything is Eagles Cowboys, and that's the biggest rivalry to Eagles fans going back to the 70s, I think. But for the players who come here from other places and who get involved in playing in this division, Eagles-Giants is by far the one that I think gets the players the most excited and fired up. It's, the proximity, they're so close to each other. The Giants have two recent Super Bowl victories, during an era where Andy Reid got the Eagles close a few times but never quite finished the deal. So I think this is a big rivalry no matter what. That little tweak, and considering Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie is a former Eagle teammate of theirs who himself has no Super Bowl rings. I think the Eagles were a little annoyed by that, yeah.
All right, let's look at a little X's and O's for this game on Sunday night. Eagles offense, they're sitting here at 4-1, and they've won the bulk of their games. Their offense has looked very pedestrian of late. Is that teams are catching on, or the offensive line is just not healthy enough to protect the quarterback?
Well, it's hard to tell. I mean, it's like you don't have the variable, It's like the offensive line is banged up, and it's been a big problem. And also, this is the second year with Chip Kelly's offense, and teams could be catching up. I mean, I can't really be sure until I see the healthy offensive line play. And if they're still having trouble, then I would guess that's probably a sign that defenses are figuring things out a little bit. But in the absence of that information, it's hard to say. It's hard to tell. Oh, I do know that in the years I've covered football, and it's been a few, when your offensive line goes bad because of injuries or whatever else, everything goes wrong. I mean, it's 2 years ago, Andy Reid's final year here. Eagles were down to Todd Hermans was the only starting lineman still playing. They went 4-12 that year. The offense was a mess, and it all started with injuries on the offensive line. So, they're missing Jason Kelsey, who's one of the better centers in the league and a real key part of what they do. And Pro Bowl guard left guard Evan Mathis, who is a big, agile, mobile guy. Both those guys can get out and block in the second level. The guys that they have now are lucky if they can get their assignment done and know what to do. Make their initial block. That's progress for these guys. And they're not going to get out and block linebackers, and lead the way for LaShawn McCoy. So it's affected the passing game, and it certainly affected LaShawn McCoy, who led the NFL in rushing last year, and has 81 yards, was the most he's had in the game so far this year.
Phil Sheridan, thanks for taking us behind enemy lines.
My pleasure. Anytime.
You're listening to the best of Ruocco and Rothenberg on ESPNNewYork.com. You hear them every weekday beginning at noon, only on ESPN New York 98.7 FM.